This week on Capitol Report.
Down the stretch they come!
We are 2 days from Election Day.
A little bit.
Shout now. Jump up and shout now.
From the race for the White House.
Boy, is this great.
To the races here in Connecticut. We'll break down the US Senate debate.
That's the way you do it. That's the way you debate.
We'll look at the fight for the 5th Congressional District and some other hot Connecticut races.
Very hot, very hot. Tonight is happening.
Plus, is it time to say goodbye to daylight savings time?
There ain't no hell.
And the Lamonts get into the holiday spirit.
Slime.
That's great. Actual physical contact.
Capitol Report starts now. Welcome to Capitol Report. I am Tom Dutchick. We are so glad you're spending part of the Sunday morning alongside the Power Panel. Danielle Wong, Mayor of Bloomfield, Connecticut, home of the Joe Suggs Library. Congratulations. First black mayor of Bloomfield and, of course, treasurer. Congratulations. Good job. Joe Arasimas, the coach, football coach, and former Speaker of the House.
Happy Sunday morning.
Senator Liz Kranowitz joined us, political strategist John McKinney, our own Stay Puff Puff Marshmallow Man right there.
Wow, John.
Wow.
I got to go.
Hey guys, the finish line is in sight. Election Day Tuesday. What a ride it has been. Democrats started with Biden and ended with Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has survived assassination attempts, yet remains as Trumpy as ever. If I were a betting man, I would venture to guess that come Wednesday morning, we likely won't know who will be the next president. And while the race for the White House is the featured attraction, and there's a lot online with House and Senate races as well. And last Tuesday night, News 8 hosted the only debate of the election season between Senator Chris Murphy and Republican challenger Matt Corey. Here's a little taste of what the two had to say about immigration and border policy. Take a listen.
Donald Trump knew that that bill would have helped to secure the border, and so he told his supporters, kill it, because we want chaos at the border. Chaos at the border helps Republicans and hurts Democrats, so let's kill this good bipartisan border bill.
This bill was a failure. It's still, catch and release is what is wrong in this country. And I'm not talking about a mass deportation, but the people that need to be eliminated from this country are the people that are committing the most heinous crimes.
So we had Arasimas and McKinney on election night. We did not have Danielle and Liz, so we'll give Liz the first crack. McKinney, by the way, played Corey in debate prep. How about that, huh? Good Corey. Good. Liz, have at it.
Look, I think what's so disingenuous about what Senator Murphy is saying there is that this was a result of the Biden and Harris administration policies from day one. They had 3.5 years to do something about fixing the policies they broke, and they did nothing. And what I think is so interesting is we're talking about leaders and people who are in the room, and they're blaming somebody who wasn't in the room. Instead of taking ownership and instead of taking on accountability for themselves and their own inaction, they're blaming someone else. And what you can see now in the polls, nobody believes them. This is still an issue that's on top of mind. House Republicans did pass a bill in H.R. 2 and sent it to the Senate. Nothing came back. Nothing was amended. Nothing was taken up. So, you know, with all due respect to the senator, give me a break.
Joe, have at it.
Well, look, I differ greatly from Liz on this one. I really think it was teed up. Donald Trump was not shy about saying he put his finger on the scale. He called all of his people and said, look, we do not want this as a campaign issue. We want it as a campaign issue. Do not take action. He does own that. And yes, Matt Corey that night mentioned that other Democrats voted against it. Bernie Sanders. Of course he was never going to vote for it. He doesn't want any changes. So that's not a fair comparison either. It is Donald Trump's issue. Yes, there were policies at the border under Donald Trump's. They were still coming through. There was no changes. He had an opportunity to put $40+ million to our borders and chose not to because he wanted to run on it.
But Joe, they deliberately made changes that led to the crisis at the border and let it languish for 3.5 years before they would even talk about it.
Well, they were looking for a bill. They got the bill. They brought Republicans to the table. Donald Trump said no.
House Republicans passed the bill.
Okay, so hey, the two also hashed it out over the economy on a question about helping lowering costs for Connecticut consumers. Watch this.
We've got to put money back into the pockets of regular consumers. That means a child tax credit for families that need help. What we don't need is more tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, as supported by Donald Trump, or a $4,000 tax increase as he's proposing due to a set of thoughtless and insane tariffs.
So we need to bring corporations back, lowering the corporate tax rate, lowering the small business tax rate, lowering the income tax rate. We need pro-growth policies to bring back to Connecticut. We used to be on a global market here. We used to be the gateway to New England. We need to bring jobs back to this state, and with tax and spend policies coming out of Washington, that means they're completely out of touch.
Being a mayor, you certainly understand where the rubber hits the road when it comes to the economy in our state.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have to really understand how to create jobs in the state of Connecticut. And when Senator Murphy talks about how to get that done, it does start leadership at the federal level. And I want to back it up a little bit, because we talk about the different the Biden economics versus what Trump has done. But let's back it up even more. Trump inherited an amazing economy with the record job growth under the Obama administration. And for the first 3 years of Trump administration, we didn't see the job growth surpass the first 3 years of the Obama administration. And so what you did see was a lot of tax breaks for the wealthy that did not lead into sustainable growth for the middle class, did not account for job gains for wages for the middle class. But what we see with the Biden administration is the recovery of the inherited economy and the policies that Trump handed over to Biden. So now we're trying to clean up the mess that he left for us. And you see that with the stimulus of ARPA. You see that with the job growth and what the economy looks like today. There are indications of that growth, and it doesn't happen overnight, folks. And so we have to be real with that.
John, how about it?
Well, we just learned this week that the jobs report shows 12,000 new jobs added in America. They're expecting over 100,000. People aren't going to listen to the politicians. They know what they feel every day. We had a pandemic. Millions of jobs were lost because of that pandemic. That wasn't Donald Trump's fault. It wasn't Joe Biden's fault. Quite frankly, came from a lab in China, right? But people are hurting. People are really hurting. And Senator Murphy tried to explain that. We spent a lot of time talking about millionaires and billionaires. They're the people funding Democratic campaigns all over America. So it's a little bit rich to be criticizing the people who are really your base of your support. But people are hurting. The economy is not well. Inflation's too high. I think that's going to hurt Democrats this Tuesday.
Okay, so let's shift away from the Senate, talk about the final stretch in the U.S. congressional races. John, let's start with you and what Republican George Logan needs to do in the next couple of days to flip the 5th district. John, what do you think?
Get out the vote, get out the vote, get out the vote. That's what George Logan's going to be doing. That's what Congresswoman Johanna Hayes is going to be doing. Look, I think George Logan, who's been outspent about 2-1, has run as good a campaign as he can run. I'm really looking forward to see where the Hispanic Latino vote flips on this district. George is bilingual. He's run ads in dual language. He's really trying to make some inroads with that voter bloc, and that could be the deciding factor if he makes some bigger inroads. But it's going to be a very close
Yeah,
race.
we'll get to that issue in a little bit later in our C block. It's going to be a turnout election. Most people say the women are turning out in droves in early voting. That probably is a good news for Johanna Hayes.
Yeah, absolutely. The early voting numbers look really good in the 5th district, and the Congresswoman continues to get out the vote, have an enormous amount of volunteers on the doors. We know that the Democratic Party is fully behind her when it comes to that, and we know that the Republican Party is not as confident as they once were in the beginning with George Logan and his race. They pulled out $600,000 from this ads leading up to the stretch for the November 5th election. So there are some strong indicators there that suggest that Johanna Hayes is going to take it and win it, and I believe she will be, but she's not taking anything for granted, and she's working as hard as ever.
Guys, let's broaden it out a little bit to some races that you guys are looking at. I know Cerule's going to break down some races in a few minutes. What are you guys looking at?
Look, I'm looking at my old area, the central Connecticut area. It's been changing as much as the Fairfield County has. So is central Connecticut. You have some really...
It's getting redder.
It's getting redder, and you have some great incumbents there. Kerry Wood, Jack Vizino, Chris Poolhouse, all looking to stem that tide. If you look at the performance numbers, President Trump and anybody who's running against Murphy always polls very high there, but the state reps have survived. I don't know what's going to happen this year.
I'm excited to see what Joe Canino can do against Michelle Cook. To your point about some of the changes in the districts, that is a 55% Republican average in that House race. So I think Joe is going to have a good night on election night. And I, like you, looking at other spaces in some places where you would not expect, at least at the state house level.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at my old caucus, and specifically two of the races we've been talking about. Ryan Fazio versus Nick Simmons in the Greenwich-Stamford district, and Tony Wong and Rob Blanchard in the Fairfield-Newtown district. We just saw the other day, billionaire hedge fund from Greenwich is pouring hundreds of thousands of dollars into the race on behalf of Nick Simmons and on behalf of Rob Blanchard. They're being outspent 4-1, the two Republicans are. Are they going to hold their ground and win that seat? If they lose, there will be no Republicans in the state Senate from Greenwich to Bridgeport to Danbury. When I first ran in '98, there was a Republican who represented every single community. The Fairfield County millionaires are now Democrats.
All right, guys, up next on Capitol Report, we're not done talking about Election Day. Far from it. We'll have some state races to talk about with a kid. News 8's political contributor, our pal, Mike Cerulli. We'll chat when we get back. Don't go away. There he is. Right, the great Cerulli.
Yeah. He's
Election Day almost upon us in a few days. We thought it'd be a good idea to check in with our pal, News 8's political contributor, Mike Cerulli. Hey, Mike, it's been a couple of weeks since you've been on the program, out there golfing or something. It's great weather. You've been bouncing all over the state. We've seen you reporting. Tell us what you're seeing and hearing out there, and what races are you watching about that McKinney didn't step on?
Hey, Tom, it's great to be back. You know, recently actually spent some time on the ground in McKinney's old state Senate district, the 28th district. That is, as he said, one of the most watched races in the whole state. This is a district a little different from the one John represented. It has Fairfield, Newtown, Easton, and Bethel in it, held by incumbent Tony Wong. As I said, John used to represent it. Wong being challenged by Democrat Rob Blanchard. A lot of folks up at the Capitol very familiar with Rob. He's been an aide to the governor and a trusted hand for really a number of prominent Connecticut Democrats. I caught up with both of them recently on the ground in the district to chat about the final days of campaigning leading to Election Day.
During this time, some of the most critical challenges with storms and challenges in regards to issues that impact our community, we've been there. We're there for the people in good times and in challenging times. That's what a public servant and being engaged and being present is all about.
The people are ready for a new change, to have someone else advocate on their values and be a new voice for them and a new generation of leadership. And so we believe that our message has really been resonating with people throughout Newtown, and we're hoping that they're going to put us over the top this time.
A super duper weenie truck, Mike. That's where I'd be.
Yeah.
So what kind of sense are you getting from this race? Blanchard's hair, I don't know. He usually has good hair, not strong that day.
A little windy in the Newtown wind.
Yeah.
And I think this race, and as John mentioned, the one in the 36th, are probably the two hardest to predict. On the one hand, you've got a really well-known incumbent in Huang. It's kind of hard to overstate how visible he is in that district. On the other hand, he has lost ground in every election since 2016. Two of Fairfield's state house seats have flipped from red to blue since then. Blanchard, he's a campaign vet. He's on their ground in Newtown. That's where I interviewed him. That's where he needs to do well. We know he's going to do well in Fairfield, so he's got to punch up the number in Newtown and Bethel, the more Republican areas of that district. And Tom, outside money pouring into the district. There are digital ads right now from an independent expenditure group funded by the hedge fund billionaire Stephen Mendel. Suggests Huang is, quote, in line with the MAGA agenda. And I think that'd probably be news to Huang's colleagues in the Senate Republican caucus.
A lot of head shaking here among the Republicans, Mike. And, you know, it's not just the outside money, Mike, flowing into the district. Some political star power is paying a visit, right?
Yeah, that's right. Senator Murphy swung through the district last week. Really, all the big Democratic names have paid a visit. They know that it's not just the most competitive race, but that Steve Scheinberg controls a lot of delegates too, Tom. And I heard you discussing the Senate debate earlier, and Chris Murphy, you know, he's really effectively the head of the ticket here in Connecticut. And Matt Corey, the head of his party's ticket, he's been all over the state as well. So we might not see a close contest in the Senate race, but let's not discount the role those two guys play as really quarterbacks for their respective teams. I caught up with our treasurer Eric Russell in Fairfield and Minority Leader Steve Harding in New Fairfield, asked them about their two Senate candidates.
Someone that on the national level is respected for the work that he has done, everything from gun violence prevention, right, and really leading the charge on the national level on that issue, to what we've seen going forward now around immigration.
It's important to have a candidate that's visible, working hard for the cause, and I think it will have a positive benefit down ballot.
So we'll see if that prediction pans out from Steve Harding.
All right, Mike, get some sleep. Busy election day coming. Tuck yourself into the jammies, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Election month, Tom. We'll see you
got
Tuesday.
it, brother. All right, up next on Cap Report, comments made by a comedian at a Trump rally having a big ripple effect here in Connecticut. We'll discuss when we get back. Do not go away. It's really breaking it down. He's filming all that, too. Doing a good...
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right.
Unless you're back from visiting distant galaxies, you probably know by now that that comment at Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally last Sunday by a quote-unquote comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, did not sit well with a lot of people. Among those who were outraged, Connecticut Democrats and Puerto Rican caucus, they came together on Wednesday with other state Democrats to get a load of this, denounce the hatred on display by the Republican Party. Take a listen to this.
We have sat here for years feeling disrespected. But we still are proud to be American citizens, are we not? We're still proud to be a part of this country, and we hope that in future generations, especially coming off of this campaign, that we are accepted deeply by our elected leaders.
And the only way that we can fight that is to use our voice, which is our vote, and to vote them out, to make sure that that person who cannot relate to us, who was born with a silver spoon, to make sure that they are not the president of the United States again.
If you don't look like Donald Trump or Donald Trump Jr., you are not an American in full. And you are not entitled to the privileges and the respect of an American in full. That's what's going on.
I love Billy Miller. So, my Republican colleagues see this a little bit differently. What do you think, guys?
Go ahead, John.
Well, look. Tony Hinchcliffe is an insult comedian who made an outrageously disgusting insult about Puerto Rico. What I heard the crowd do was kind of boo and groan. Whoever on the campaign picked him to be on the stage made a huge mistake, and Trump's paying for it. But where's the outrage from those people you just saw on TV when George Lopez, a Mexican insult comedian, stood at a Harris Waltz rally next to Tim Waltz and called Mexicans thieves? Where is the outrage about that? Where's the outrage when President Biden calls half of America garbage? Where's the outrage when Mark Cuban says that only smart and intelligent women are voting for Kamala Harris? If you're voting for Donald Trump as a woman, you're dumb and stupid. Look, I have a lot of friends, people I love, who are great people who are voting for Donald Trump. We disagree politically, but I'm pissed off when I hear you constantly talking down about people who may support Donald Trump. And last thing I'm going to say, Donald Trump may very well be our next president. And if he is, don't blame him. Don't blame the MAGA supporters. Blame the media and the left and the Democrats for not learning any lessons from 2000.
Let's talk Griswold and say, where's the Tylenol?
I don't have much to add other than, to continue to talk down to voters and act and treat them like they are other than is exactly why Kamala Harris is going to lose. Mark my words. Because for years, Republican voters have been talked down to and treated like criminals. And if you're going to say that women who vote for Donald Trump are weak and stupid, you better be prepared.
Right, Danielle, you got your work cut out for you.
Well, yeah, I do. But here's the difference between the presidential campaigns and Biden. Biden actually clarified those conversations and clarified those remarks and took accountability for those remarks. There's only 2 presidential candidates in here, and only one of them were able to say, VP Harris, say, absolutely not. We do not accept that. I do not accept that. And she went online and said that to the American people. You had someone talk about not only the Puerto Rican comments were just the beginning. You called Hillary son of a bee. You called a black man, made a watermelon joke from a black man that was in the audience. And then you called VP Harris the Antichrist. To that level, that has not been displayed on the presidential campaign on the Democratic side. And there's no room for any of that on any side. I totally agree with you. But there's only one candidate that stood up and said, this is wrong.
Okay, step next on Cap Report, fall back, spring ahead. Is it time to put an end to daylight savings time? The answer is yes. We'll discuss this highly sensitive political topic and hot potato when we get back. Don't go away, guys.
Was that supposed to be a tease?
Well, are you feeling refreshed from that extra hour of sleep you got this morning? About 5 hours from now won't make one bit of difference once the sun starts going down. Well, around 4:30, the annual rite of passage of falling back officially means that winter is coming. Earlier sunset bums out people, and now a Yukon health environmentalist economist is using evidence-based research that finds that the cost of daylight savings time outweighs the benefits. Yep, recent studies have found that people actually consume more energy during daylight savings time because with more daylight, people run the air conditioners for longer, even if their lights aren't on as long. And in the spring, there's evidence of a number of heart attack increases when we spring ahead due to the sleep loss. The bottom line, guys, is it time to punch the clock on resetting our clock. Danielle, what do you want, more sleep or more sun? What do you think?
More sun.
More sun, okay. Right.
I justify my 7 o'clock bedtime by it being dark out, so I like it.
Liz, what do you think?
I don't sleep. It doesn't matter.
I need more sun, but I want the sun in the morning and in the afternoon.
Okay.
I don't know how I can do that unless I move to like Alaska.
Okay. Well, guys, and finally, let's hear it for the Ned Sturr and Annie Lamont, the first couple of Connecticut, showing their Halloween spirit. They dressed as Ghostbusters this year. Lamont's handing out treats at the governor's residence Thursday night. Last year, they were Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, guys. Which costume do you like better? I think the Ghostbusters are pretty good, huh?
Well, look, who are you going to call? Ned Lamont.
Who are you going to call?
I prefer the Travis Kelce.
The Travis Kelce?
Yeah, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift is hard to beat.
But that was a moment in
Agreed.
time. It was a moment in time. It's over.
Yeah, I'm not saying he had to do
All right,
it.
for the mayor,
He's
the
no
coach,
Snow White,
Lizzie,
I'll tell you
the
that.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I'm Tom Dutchick.
Wow.
We'll see you next week.
Again, twice, John.
Ned Lamont, no Snow White.